Hello and welcome to a new lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss the file system hierarchy. It's important to you as a Linux system admin to know the use of each directory inside the Linux file system. Knowing the file system hierarchy will make you feel more comfortable when you're dealing with Linux. But the file system hierarchy is not about how comfortable are we. It's about how to find our way in Linux by knowing the difference between each directory in the file system. Okay, as you see, this image represents the Linux file system hierarchy tree. The file system hierarchy represented by an upside down tree. In the upside, we can see the root of the file system, and the root here represented by the slash mark. From the root, we can go to any directory on the system. If you are familiar with the Windows operating system, you can say that the root in Linux is similar to the C in Windows. Okay, now let's check those directories under the root directory. Let's start with the user system sources, or the USR directory. In this directory, we can find the installed applications on the system. We also can find the shared libraries. Under the USR directory, there are some directories such as the bin directory. The bin directory has binary files for commands that are used by any user on the Linux system. Inside the bin directory, you can find commands such as cp command and mv command. Now, let's move to the sbin directory. The sbin directory also has binary files for commands, but the difference here is that those binary files are executed by Linux users who has an admin privileges on the system to maintain and configure the system. Besides the sbin, we have the local directory. We use this directory as a path of installed applications, so we can say that local directory is similar to the program files folder in Windows. Now, let's move to the etc directory. The etc directory has the configuration files of the system, and it also has the configuration files of any application that is installed using the yum command. So, if you install the Apache web server or MySQL using yum command, then you need to edit configuration files for those applications. You will find the configuration files here under etc directory. Now let's talk about the var directory. The var directory has all files whose content is expected to continually change, or we can say files whose size is expected to increase by the time, such as log files and database files. Now to the run directory. Here you can find information about the running system since last boot. The run directory has the process ID for each running service. The content of the run directory recreated in each time you reboot the system. Okay, now let's go to another directory. Let's talk about the home directory. This is the directory that stores each user home directory on the Linux. When you create a user, the system will create a home directory here for user you have created. The user home directory name will be the same as the username. As you see here, we have a home directory for user named Ali. Ali's files and directory will be stored in Ali home directory. Each user has his own home directory that is isolated from other users. Okay, let's take a moment here. Did you figure now what is the importance of knowing the Linux file system hierarchy? At least for now, we know what is the directory that has files whose size is expected to increase by the time. By knowing such an information like that will make me give the var directory more disk space if I am planning to install, let's say, MySQL database. Also, by knowing the file system hierarchy, I knew where is each user home directory should be on the system. So, the file system hierarchy is essential for Linux system admins. Okay, now let's move to the root directory. The root directory here is the home directory of user root. So, here we can find files that belong to user root. And let's clear any confusion that may be in our mind between the root directory and the root up there. The root up there is the root of the file system, but the root directory is just a home directory for user root. The user root is the most powerful user in Linux, the user that has all privileges on the system. Okay, now let's continue our journey with the Linux file system hierarchy. Let's talk about the temp directory. The temp directory has a temporary files that is used by a user application or the system. All files here inside the temp that is older than 10 days will be deleted automatically. Okay, as you noticed here, we have another temp directory under the var directory. This temp directory has the same job as any temp directory. The temp directory job is to store temporary files, but in this temp directory, any files that not has been accessed or modified for more than 30 days will be deleted automatically. Now let's move to the dev directory. Dev directory has all devices files that is used by the system to access the hardware, such as the hard disks. Finally, we have the boot directory, which has the bootloader files such as the kernels. And by that, we get to the end of our lesson. Thank you for watching and see you in next lesson.